Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, man. Welcome back. I am tired, but I figured, let's do a stream because I need to get through this thing as quickly as possible because it's just so boring. And I thank you guys for being here because damn, it's crazy that you guys like to hear me or are just okay with hearing me read this stuff. But Devil Cookie in the chat, what's going on? Happy 250th, 4th of July, everyone. Happy birthday to America. Happy birthday. Let me see, how do I, isn't there like a media asset? Wait. There we go. Happy birthday, people. And we got AJ, cover your operations manual. I don't have it with me. If somebody happens to send it my way, I'll cover it. There might be a way I can get it. There might be a way. And I'm going to figure that out tomorrow. But yeah, happy 4th. Love USA. Happy 4th. Elaine Martinez is here. What's up? Thug Light, Awesome, and Rick P is already coming in hot. Good morning, or is it good evening? Happy 4th. It's both, man. And by the way, is this a members thing? By the way, I got memberships now, because I guess you could do that. But regardless, what's up, Rick P? Thank you for the 5. Loving it. And AJ, some point, I will be able to cover an operations manual. Who knows, bro? Who knows? Okay. Let's get this party started. We're going to start off this 4th of July with one of the most boring things we could possibly read. A legal document. Okay. The term losses and expenses includes compensatory, exemplary, and punitive damages, fines and penalties, attorney's fees, expert fees, court costs, costs associated with investigating and defending against claims, settlement amounts, judgments, compensation for damages to our reputation and goodwill, and all other costs associated with any of the foregoing losses and expenses. We agree to give you reasonable notice of any event of which we become aware, for which indemnification may be required and we may elect, but are not obligated to direct the defense thereof, provided that the selection of counsel shall be subject to your consent, which consent shall not be unreasonably withheld or delayed. We may, in our reasonable discretion, take such actions as we deem necessary and appropriate to investigate, defend, or settle any event or take other remedial or corrective actions with respect thereto as may be necessary for the protection of indemnities or Bricks and Minifigs stores generally, provided, however, that any settlement shall be subject to your consent, which consent shall not be unreasonably withheld or delayed. Further, notwithstanding the foregoing, if the insurer in a policy or policies obtained in compliance with your franchise agreement agrees to undertake the defense of an insured event, we agree not to exercise our right to select counsel to defend event if this would cause your insurer to deny coverage. We reserve the right to retain counsel to represent us with respect to an insured event at our sole cost and expense. This section shall continue in full force and effect subsequent to and notwithstanding the expiration or termination of this agreement. See taxes. We will have no liability for any sales, use, service, occupation, excise, gross receipts, income, property, or other taxes, whether levied upon your store, your property, or upon us in connection with furnishings or equipment purchased, sales made or business conducted by you, except any taxes we are required by law to collect from you, in which case you shall be liable to us for the amount of any taxes owed. Payment of all these taxes shall be your responsibility. In the event of a bona fide dispute as to your liability for taxes, you may consent your liability in accordance with applicable law. In no event, however, will you permit a tax sale, seizure, or attachment to occur against your store or any of its assets. Dispute avoidance and resolution. By the way, guys, what are you guys doing to celebrate your 4th of July? I would like to know, because I'm actually trying to get ideas for tomorrow. There might be a chance that I'm not working because there's only like 97 reservations by the time I left for tomorrow at a restaurant, which is nothing. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm scheduled late. I'm scheduled to go in there at like 6. So they most likely will cut me, which just means, if you guys don't know restaurant lingo, it means that I won't get to work that day. But give me some ideas other than barbecue. Oh, Aura, we gonna blow it up. Yeah, yup. Aura's in the chat, everybody. He's from the Toy Bounty Hunter show. They've been doing great coverage over all this hoggabaloo bullcrap that we see. Then streaming with John. That's what he's doing. He's going to stream with John. Johnny boy, my man. Okay. Good morning. Yes. All right. And we got 12 people watching, ladies and gentlemen. Steven with AJ. What are you going to do, my man? How's the store going? I hope you're doing all right. And let me know if there's any lag, because I checked my last stream today and I noticed there was lag. Sorry, people. Dispute avoidance and resolution, mediation and mandatory, binding arbitration, waiver of rights to trial by jury, etc. All claims, disputes, suits, actions, controversies, proceedings, or otherwise of every kind hereinafter, claim or claims arising between or involving the franchisor and the franchisee, except as expressly provided below, will be resolved as described in this section. This resolution process will apply to all such claims, whether arising out of or relating to this or any other agreement or document, any alleged breach of duty, including the offer and or sale of any franchise, any action for rescission, or other action to set aside such sale or any other agreement on whatever theory or basis in fact. The resolution process will be as follows. And Zip is also in the chat and says, I'm down to chill. Word. First, the claims will be discussed in a face-to-face meeting between the parties, with individuals who are authorized to make binding commitments on their behalf. And Rick P coming in hot once again with the 5. I've been watching this series offline. This contract is very predatorial. Reads like a pre-planned hostile takeover, which you'll see most contracts are read like that, because it's all, I would say it's predatorial and it is very protective on the franchisor side. I have read worse, but yeah. My son's an idiot, Dan McNeff. Legendary quote. I'm telling you, he hates his own family. When I tell you, like, that Dan dude is a terrible person, whatever you guys think about the McNeffs, their father is so much worse. They like look, his own friends told me, like, yeah, he's a piece of garbage, but we like him. You know what I mean? Okay. Will be discussed as follows. For on their behalf, this meeting will be held at franchisors' then current headquarters and within 30 days after written notice is given. Proposing such a meeting, either party may require the other to participate in the International Franchise Association Ombudsman or similar program prior to or in conjunction with any mediation. And all meetings to be held at franchisor's then current headquarters. Which they did switch headquarters locations, I think 4 times. There's a new headquarters from the last time I was in Utah. Yeah. The Scripture Assembly is in the chat. Welcome, 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 welcome. Second, if in the opinion of either party, the meeting has not successfully resolved any of the claims at issue, they will be submitted to non-binding mediation through the American Arbitration Association, AAA. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Third, such mediation is not successful in resolving the dispute. Claims will be submitted and finally resolved by binding arbitration before and in accordance with the arbitration rules of AAA in Utah County, Utah. In each case, the parties to any mediation arbitration will execute appropriate confidentiality agreements, accepting only such public disclosures and filings as required by law. Yo, it's a happy little fun bunch. Yes, it is. And then we got Spirit Warrior. Do you not have a life either? You are one with someone or here every time I am here. Guess that says a lot for me also. Who are you talking about? You talking about me or somebody in the chat, fool? You are one with someone or here. Yeah. Are you drunk? There's a little inconsistency there. That might just be me. As required by law, franchisor and franchisee agree that this agreement does not obligate them to mediate or arbitrate claims or issues relating primarily to the validity of the marks or any trademarks, services, marks, or other intellectual property licensed to franchisee. Franchisor's right to obtain possession of any real and personal property, including any action in unlawful detainer, ejectment, or otherwise. Franchisor or franchisee's rights to obtain a writ of attachment and or other pre-judgment remedies, and or franchisor's rights to receive and enforce a temporary restraining order, preliminary injunction, permanent injunction, or other equitable relief, including but not limited to franchisor's rights to equitable relief with respect to franchisee's unlawful use of any of the marks and or other intellectual property, and franchisee's breach of the confidentiality and or non-compete provisions of the agreement, intellectual interruption by franchisee or franchisor or business operations within the exception of the provisions of Section 14 relating to breaches, defaults, or termination, and the exercise of any such rights and remedies will not be deemed a waiver of the rights to require or use mediation and or arbitration. And Spirit War says, you are the one with someone or streams. Sorry, working and chatting at the same. You're good, man. Yeah, like until I start making some good money, like unfortunately I'm with my job and everything, I'm only making, not even making $1,000 a week, man. So until like I get more hours at the restaurant, like I can't really pick a good time to stream like I would like to do it during the day. So I'm here at night. All right. And yeah, trying to do my best. And like I try to do it when my kids are not awake, because when they're awake, I just feel bad if I'm at home and working and doing stuff, So like if I'm at home and I don't have to be at work, I'm going to be with the kids, I'm going to be with my wife, and unfortunately sometimes I can't even do that because there's other stuff I got to do, but yeah, that's why I'm here. Gotta do the grind. Franchisor and franchisee each knowingly waive all rights to trial by court or jury. The parties each understand that arbitration may be less formal than a court or jury trial, may use different rules of procedure and evidence, and may make appeals generally less available. However, both parties still prefer and have mutually selected for the reasons set forth in this section and the following one. Mediation and/or arbitration as provided in this agreement to resolve any and all disputes and claims, except as expressly provided in Section 17A4. The parties have had an express meeting of the minds. This never happens on each of these matters as set forth in section and/or otherwise. Both parties further agree that the provisions of this agreement will control the state of provincial laws by which this agreement will be governed and constructed. Any provisions of state, provisional, and other law to the contrary, and or any statement in franchisor's disclosure document or otherwise required as a condition of registration or otherwise. And by the way, I have a question, if you're still here, for Elaine Martinez. Are you still bodybuilding? You're still doing shows? Because that would be cool. That would be cool. Now we are in miscellaneous. Okay, miscellaneous. Severability and substitution or valid provisions. Each section, paragraph, term, and provisions of this agreement shall be considered severable, and if any portion of this agreement is held to be invalid, contrary to, or in conflict with any applicable present or future law or regulation, it shall not have any effect upon these other portions of this agreement, as may remain otherwise intelligible. If any applicable and binding law or rule of any jurisdiction requires a greater prior notice of the termination of or refusal to renew this agreement than is required under this agreement, or the taking of some other action not required under it, or if under any applicable and binding law or rule of any jurisdiction, any provision of this agreement or any specification, standard, or operating procedure prescribed by the company is invalid or unenforceable, the prior notice and or other action required by this law or rule shall be substituted for the comparable provisions of this agreement, and the company shall have the right to modify this invalid or unenforceable provision, specification, standard, or operating procedure if required to be valid and enforceable. You must be bound by any modification to this agreement. Otherwise, all modifications to this agreement must be in writing, signed by both parties, except for modifications accomplished by virtue of the company's amendment to system standards and or the operations manual as described herein. If any covenant herein which restricts competitive activity is deemed unenforceable by virtue of its scope or in terms of geographic area, type of business, activity prohibited, and or length of time, but could be rendered enforceable by reducing any part or all of it, you and we agree that it will be enforced to the fullest extent permissible under applicable law and public policy. Nothing in this agreement or any related agreement is intended to disclaim franchisors' representations. Make in the uniform franchise disclosure document. All right. The Father, Spirit, and all we need is the Son now. Word. I was about to do nationals on the 16th in Pittsburgh. We're going to do the Pittsburgh Pro, but my cat got sick and had vet bills. Ooh, that is expensive. Trying to do North Americans in September. Nice. 2 shots at pro cards since I can't compete in Open and Masters. Masters? How old are you? You look hella young. How are you competing in Masters? That's crazy to me. Waiver of obligation. The company and you may be written instrument unilaterally waive or reduce any obligation of or restriction upon the other under this agreement, effective upon delivery of written notice to the other. The company and you shall not be deemed to have waived or impaired any right, power, or option reserved by this agreement by virtue of any custom or practice of any parties at variance with the terms of this agreement. Any failure, refusal, or neglect of the company or you to exercise any right under this agreement or to insist upon exact compliance by the other with its obligations under this agreement. Any waiver, forbearance, delay, failure, or omission by the company or exercise any right, power, or option with respect to any other Bricks and Minifigs stores, or the acceptance by the company of any payments due from you after any breach of this agreement. Neither the company nor you shall be liable for loss or damage or deemed to be in breach of this agreement. Neither the company nor you shall be liable for loss or damage or deemed to be in breach of this agreement if its failure to perform its obligation results from transportation shortages, inadequate supply of labor, material, or energy, or the voluntary foregoing of the right to acquire or use any of the foregoings to accommodate or comply with the orders, requests, regulations, recommendations, or instructions of any federal, state, or municipal government or any department or agency thereof, compliance with any law, ruling, order, regulation, requirements, or instruction of any agency of government, acts of God, acts of omissions of the other party, fires, strikes, embargoes, war or riots, any other similar event or cause. Any delay resulting from any cause shall extend performance accordingly or excuse performance in whole or in part as may be reasonable. Acknowledgement addendum. Franchise acknowledges that the franchisee knowingly and truthfully executed Schedule 1 attached hereto or documents identical thereto, in which franchisee acknowledges certain statements and representations. Cost and attorney fees is in a judicial proceeding. The non-prevailing party agrees to reimburse the prevailing party for all of the prevailing party's costs and expenses, including reasonable account, paralegal expert, witness, and attorney's fees. So, all right, 39. There's no way. You look phenomenal. You look phenomenal. It's the Mexican jeans. Well, the Mexican jeans are also, after you get married, you get the Spanish surprise, where you shrink like 4 inches and grow 30 to the side. But you got the superior genes, so that's good. Dream Sigils. What's up? It's good to see you. How's Oregon? Buenos nachos. Ben should get triple pay for the day, 4th of July, in his anti-slap case because no free speech on Independence Day is criminal. I'll tell you this. There's already been past some days possibly that the gag order is already done. But he's being very, very careful, as we could tell by him not posting. So he is being very, very careful, which is always appreciative because we don't want him to trip. You know what I mean? That was my one concern with Benjamin Gorman's latest video. One of the best friends ever had lives in Guadalajara. Solid, bro. A pair of Mexican jeans once. I like to brag, but I can bench 50 pounds. Amen. 50 pounds could be a lot. Could be a lot. Damn. That was what the rest of the family got. It's no bueno, dude. It's no bueno. Gotta lay off the chalupas and stuff. All right, governing law. The agreement shall be constructed under the laws of the state of Utah, provided the foregoing shall not constitute a waiver of any of your rights under any applicable franchise law or another state. Otherwise, in the event of any conflict of law, Utah law will prevail without regard to its conflict of law principles. However, if any provisions of this agreement would not be enforceable under Utah law, and if your store is located outside of Utah, and the provision would be enforceable under the laws of the state in which your store is located, then this provision shall be construed under the laws of the state, Nothing in this section is intended to subject the agreement to any franchise or similar law, rule, or regulation of the state of Utah to which it otherwise would not be subject. So we're starting to get differentiating language of state. So sometimes, depending on how many stores you have, or it could be where a specific state that has very strict laws versus the Utah law, that you can present yourself in that state instead of Utah. But overall, like, they're trying to get you to do any legal issues to be resolved in the state of Utah, which makes sense because that's where their headquarters are. That's where they're probably going to have the most, not influence, but the most understanding, right, as a franchisor. All right, specific performance injunctive relief. We may obtain in any court of competent jurisdiction any injunctive relief, including temporary restraining orders and preliminary injunctions against conduct or threatened conduct for which no adequate remedy at law may be available or which may cause us irreparable harm. We may have this injunction relief without bond, but upon due notice, in addition to this further and other relief as may be available at equity or law. And your sole remedy in the event of the entry of this injunction shall be its dissolution if warranted upon hearing duty held. All claims for damages by reason of the wrongful issuance of any injunction being expressly waived. You and each of your owners acknowledge that any violations of Section 9, 13, 15, or 15D would result in irreparable injury to us for which no adequate remedy at law may be available. Accordingly, if you and each of your owners consent to the issuance of an injunction prohibiting any conduct in violation of any of those sections and agree that the existence of any claim you or any of your owners may have against us, whether arising from this agreement, shall not constitute a defense to the enforcement of any of those sections. Binding effect. This agreement is binding upon the parties to it and their respective executors, administrators, heirs, assigners, and successors in interest, and shall inure to the benefit of any transferee or the legal successor to our interest herein. Construction. The headings of sections are for convenience only, and do not limit or construe their contents. The word including shall be construed to include the words without limitation. The term franchisee, as used in this agreement, is applicable to one or more persons or corporation or a partnership, and the singular usage includes the plural, and masculine and neuter usage include the other and the feminine. If two or more persons are at any time franchisee under this agreement, their obligations and liabilities to the company shall be joint and several. References to franchisee, owner, and assignee, which are applicable to an individual or individuals, shall mean the entity owner or owners of franchisee or an assignee, any person owning of record or beneficially 10% or more of the equity or control of franchisee. If franchisee or the assignee is a corporation or a partnership, nothing in this or in any related agreement, however, is intended to disclaim the representations we made in the franchise disclosure document that we furnished to you. This agreement may be signed in multiple copies, each of which shall be deemed an original. Time is of the essence in this agreement. Okay, relic. Utah is very friendly to the Mormon family. Even judges, it appears, are quite friendly. What do you mean by that? Like, are you just meaning like it looks like everybody's friendly? or it appears that everybody's like on the side of Mormons or something. Because like you hear the hate that people constantly throw, and with this situation, they're like trying to bring up Mormons quite often, which I think has died down quite a bit, which is nice because the focus needs to be on Reckless Ben, on Crystal Gorman, and on Ammon Matt McNeff / Brandon Best and Josh Johnson, which sounds like nobody's talking about them for it's been a minute. People in Utah are nice. They are nice. A lot of them are nice. And I lived there for a good amount of time, like 20 years. Kind of hated it when I was there, but overall, I miss it sometimes. Hey, I was responding to what you were saying about the legal issues having to be resolved in Utah according to the contract. Yeah, but like it's kind of normal wherever your headquarters are of any franchise company, like you want to resolve it in the state that the headquarters resides in, right? That's just normal. It's nothing. I don't think it's anything insane, but yeah, like they're gonna be very friendly. Better in the morning faith. I was responding to what saying about the legal issues to be resolved in Utah according to the contract. Yes. Entire agreement. The introduction hereto is a part of this agreement, together with its appendices, all of which will be deemed to be part of this agreement. This agreement contains the final, complete, and inclusive expression of the terms of franchisor's agreement and entirely supersedes and replaces any and all prior and or current promises, agreements, representations, or otherwise, whether oral or written, between franchisee and franchisor or anyone else. No prior and or concurrent promises, agreements, representations, or otherwise, whether oral or written, of any kind or nature whatsoever, have been made by franchisor or anyone else, nor have been relied upon by franchisee, nor will have any force or effect. Nothing in this agreement or any related agreement is intended to disclaim franchisor's representations made in the Uniform Franchise Disclosure Document. You guys falling asleep yet? If anything, maybe this stream will help you guys fall asleep. Unless you guys are hella drunk and celebrating America's birthday. America. Happy 4th. Everybody in the chat, everybody listening, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to let me know how boring this is. Exercise of rights. The rights of franchisor and franchisee here under are cumulative, and no exercise or enforcement by franchisor or franchisee of any right or remedy hereunder shall prelude the exercise or enforcement by franchisor or franchisee. Here, I'm going to put you guys to sleep. Of any other right or remedy hereunder, which franchisor or franchisee is entitled to enforce by law. If you commit any act of default under any agreement or this agreement for which franchisor exercises its rights to terminate this agreement, you shall pay to franchisor the actual and consequential damages franchisor incurs as a result of the premature termination of this agreement. You acknowledge and agree that the proximate cause of these damages sustained by franchisor is your act of default and not franchisor's exercise of its rights to terminate. Notwithstanding the foregoing, and except as otherwise prohibited or limited by applicable law, any failure, neglect, or delay of party to assert any breach or violation of any legal or equitable right arising from or in connection with this agreement shall constitute a waiver of this right and shall prelude the exercise or enforcement of any legal or equitable remedy arising therefrom unless written notice specifying the breach or violation is provided to the other party within 24 months after the later of 1. The date of the breach or violation, or 2. The date of discovery, the facts, or the date the facts could have been discovered, using reasonable diligence giving rise to breach or violence. Falling asleep, you have a nice reading voice for lullabies. Thank you. Actually, but it's very late right now. Yeah. So I sing don't like my kids love it when I sing them to sleep Misty Mountains. I don't think I have a good voice. But they like it when I sing, and it's I have a baby. He likes it when I sing Misty Mountains. If you don't know Misty Mountains, you should watch The Hobbit. I love singing Misty Mountains. Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day to find our long forgotten gold. Yeah. The pines were roaring along the height. The winds were moaning in the night. The fire was red, its flaming spread. The trees like torches blaze with light. Boom! You might not like it, my kids love it. It's my kids. Trig Happy, what is up? There has to be many more franchisees. This scam have failed them. It's all coming out of the woodwork. Can't see a RICO claim. IMO. Word. Yeah. Yes. Good night, Dream Sigils. It's always great to have you in the chat. Seriously, Relic Shield just sing for his live streams? Should I just sing for my live streams? I wouldn't recommend it. My voice is gonna crack. I can barely keep it together right now. Barely keeping it together as it is. So, what? Was this today? Okay, no, it wasn't today. But yeah, I'm alive. I'm alive. Okay, if I could sing this contract. Now everybody's asleep. Good. All right, X Factory star. All right, now X Factor. Nah, I'm not X Factor. I'll be listening. All right. Approval and consent. If I ever get the operations manual, I'll read it all on stream. All right, because that's the one thing that it's really hard to get. I have to check. Oh man, I have to call somebody. See if I can get it. Approval and consent. Whether this agreement requires the approval or consent of either party, the other party shall make written requests therefore, and this approval or consent shall be obtained in writing, provided, however, unless specified otherwise in this agreement, this party may withhold approval or consent for any reason or for no reason at all. Furthermore, unless specified otherwise in this agreement, no such approval or consent shall be deemed to constitute a warranty or representation of any kind, express or implied, and the approving or consenting party shall have no responsibility, liability, or obligation arising therefrom. Notices and payments. And by the way, Trig Happy, I don't know if this is your first time here. Feel free to ask any questions for me, a former franchisee. And obviously, I was a moron signing this stuff, but I had lawyers to look over it. My franchise agreement is only 85 pages long, and you'll see it's even less because of the other state pages. So overall, like, I have a pretty good agreement. It still sucks though. Notice and payments, all written notices. And hold up, we got somebody in the chat. Danny, the Ewer cough. Okay. Don't call on your phone or anyone closely associated with you to find that holy grail. Word. Does *69 not work anymore? I won't. Notices and payments. Like, I'm not gonna ask anybody to do anything that would be contradictory to an agreement they currently hold. Okay, because I did everything right and they still use that against me. Imagine if you do something wrong to Bricks Minifigs. How hard and fast they'll come after you, man. Like, that's the other issue. We haven't seen them really go after somebody who, like, at least we don't have full evidence of somebody that was completely violating. I know of a few people that were violating the franchise agreement, the operations manual, and it was very few people that I know of. There might have been more, I don't know. But imagine if we could see the track record of somebody completely violating Bricks and Minifigs contracts. I think they would skin them alive in a matter of seconds. If they're doing all this to us, who I could at least say for myself has been honest in my business dealings, if they did that to me, imagine if I was dishonest. Would have been raped. Notice and payments. All written notice permitted or required to be delivered by this agreement shall be deemed so delivered at the time delivered at the time delivered by hand to the recipient party or any officer, director, or partner of the recipient party. On the same day of the transmission by facsimile, telegraph, email, or other reasonably reliable electronic communication system, provided sender has electronic confirmation or transmission. 1 business day after being placed in the hands of a commercial courier, service for guaranteed overnight delivery, or 5 business days after placement in the United States mail by registered or certified mail, return receipt requested, postage prepaid and addressed to the party to be notified at its most current principal business address of which the notified party has been notified in writing. All notices to us must include a copy to our general counsel and our chief executive officer, CEO. That would be Ammon to be effective. All payments and reports required by this agreement shall be sent to us as at the address identified in this agreement unless and until a different address has been designated by written notice to the other party. No restrictive endorsement on any check or in any letter or other communications accompanying any payments shall bind us, and our acceptance of any payments shall not constitute an accord and satisfaction. All payments and reports required by this agreement must be directed to the company at the address notified to you. Receipt of disclosure document and agreement. You acknowledge having received our franchise disclosure document 14 calendar days before signing a binding agreement or making any payment to us relating to this agreement. You acknowledge having received this agreement with all blanks completed at least 7 calendar days before you signed it. And Rick P coming in hot once again with the 5. How much of these Super Matt donations do you actually versus YouTube? What do you mean? How many of it goes to me versus YouTube? So 30% will go to YouTube. That's why I have, as you'll see right now, Streamlabs. Like 100% from Streamlabs will go to me, but I'm happy with whatever you want to do, because it's still money that I will respect, because money needs to be respected. Yes, seen 100 videos. Vibes. Man, you in it. You in it. Found a lane on social. Fire. I'll have to check her out. That's funny. Like that I didn't think even to like go look for her stuff. All right. Maybe if you were there, probably let you keep the store. I will be. Here's a little sneak peek. I will be doing a mini vlog or a vlog, whatever. There was a couple of people asking like, what's the state of the store? How did the U-Haul come in? So I will be going to my old location, filming it because the sign is still there. Their banner, Bricks and Minifigs. It's been over a year since it's closed, and they still got it up, and it's turning into a dentist office. And the table my father and I built, mainly him, actually practically just him. The Star Wars table of the front counter is still there. It's a big B, dude. It is heavy. Yeah. I mean, if you're dishonest, they probably let you keep the store. See, they'd probably give me like equity in the business. They probably make me like a partner. Who knows? What? That's insane. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Here in UK, don't have any BAM stores yet. No jaywalking or firearms. Gotta have some firearms. Well, want to know something funny? So, when I got in, there was a dude. I don't know if he was British. The manager of Ammon and Matt's location in Orem, Utah. He wanted to bring Bricks and Minifigs to the UK. He wanted to. I think he actually went to the UK to check it out, hang out, and live there for like a few years. But he wanted to. He wanted to bring it over there. But yeah, bum, bum, bum. That is just the stuff, the signatures and stuff. Witness whereof parties have signed, see blah blah blah. And then this is all like the acknowledgement addendum. So we're in the signature portion, which I gotta be very careful. Hi, the last relic. And chat. Happy July 4th. Happy chat. And very soon my youngest will be 1 year old. And he was actually, my youngest was supposed to be born on the 3rd and possibly 4th of July, but it didn't happen. He took that from me. I'll never forgive him for it. Oh, it looks like I didn't take away my full name. So we'll have to read that another time. Let me see. Hold up. Let me see if I could do something. Whatever. No, we'll just skip that. Just acknowledging that I did all this stuff. More acknowledgement. This is ownership. Maybe we can get this done today. Addendum to BAM franchising. Names, home addresses, blah, 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 blah. Corporation, limited liability franchise. We organize the day, blah, 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 blah. Positions held, director, offices parallel, la, 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 la. So, yeah, this is kind of nothing. Owners, franchisees, and each of its owners represent, says 100 there because me, the last relic, has owned 100%. Each of its owners represents and warrants the following is complete and accurate list of all owners franchisee, including the full name, mailing address. So like all this, the rest of this stuff is practically like, yeah, you acknowledge. Witness whereof, M.M. McNeff, printed name, president, his signature, my signature. Guarantee. This is the good stuff. Okay, I don't do holidays. I do biblical holidays. Word. Cry havoc and let loot the dogs of YouTube on evil corporate companies. What do you mean by that? Deep dive of BAM franchising. Public records every year they change. Can find franchise change. So find potential previous victims. Yes, yes, yes. Again, anybody, feel free to ask your questions. And I'll answer them. I'm pretty sure I'm not doxing myself right now. Okay, guarantee in consideration of and as an inducement to the signing of an BAM franchising and franchise agreement dated October 24th, 2022. The agreement by and between BAM Franchising Inc., franchisor and Relic franchisee, each of the undersigned owners of a 10% or greater interest in franchisee for themselves, their heirs, legal representatives, successors, and assigns collectively the guarantors do hereby personally, unconditionally, individually, jointly, and severally guarantee to franchisor and to its successors and assigns for the term of agreement and thereafter as provided in the agreement that franchisee shall punctually pay and perform each and every undertaking, agreement, and covenant set forth on this agreement, and any modification or amendment to the franchise agreement, including the payment of all continuing license fees, marketing fees, and all other fees and charges occurring pursuant to the franchise agreement, and that each and every representation of franchisee made in connection with agreement and any modification or amendment to the franchise agreement are true, correct, and complete in all respect at and as of the time given, and agree personally to be bound by and personally liable for the breach of each and every provision of this agreement and my modification or amendment to the franchise agreement. Son of a gun. Franchise agreement. Each of the guarantors further agree as follows. Are you Jewish? Why? Because he has a ton of holidays? The guarantors individually, jointly, and severally shall be personally bound, and each and every condition and term contained in the franchise agreement, as though each of the guarantors had signed a franchise agreement containing the identical terms and conditions of the franchise agreement, including the provisions relating to confidentiality and non-competition covenants. This guarantee shall continue in favor of franchisor, notwithstanding any extension, modification, or alteration of the franchise agreement, notwithstanding any assignment of the franchise agreement, with or without franchisor's consent. No extension, modification, alteration, or assignment of the franchise agreement shall in any manner release or discharge the guarantors, and each of the guarantors consent to any extensions, modifications, alterations, or assignment. Each guarantor's liability under this guarantee is primary and independent of the liability of a franchisee and any other guarantors. Each guarantor waives any right to require franchisor to proceed against any other person to proceed against or exhaust any security held by franchisor at any time, or to pursue any right of action occurring to franchisor under the franchise agreement. Franchisor may proceed against each guarantor and franchisee jointly and severally, or may, at its option, proceed against each guarantor without having commenced any action or having obtained any judgment against franchisee or any other guarantor. Each guarantor waives the defense of the statute of limitations in any action under this guarantee, or for the collection of any indebtedness or the performance of any obligation guaranteed pursuant to the guarantee. Each guarantor waives any right that any undersigned may have to require that an action be brought against franchisee or any other person as a condition of liability. Each guarantor waives any and all other notices and legal equitable defenses to which the undersigned may be entitled. KD7 waves howdy, slipping into the chat. Hey, you are very welcome to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody give him a nice welcome. Give him a happy 4th. Is Spineless Ben making appearance here? Feel like you would be nice to him. I would be nice to him, but I'd be extremely aggressive with him because he pissed me off. But I'll invite him somehow. I don't know how to invite him. I just know him by Spineless Ben. So what's his real name? Does he go by anything? LOL repeats. Actually, what inspired my channel name? Yeah. Spineless is in hiding. Yeah. Are you Jewish? No. Torah keeper. Nice. Do you happen to know how Josh and Brandon came to own Eugene's store? I'm betting it was via yet another hostile takeover. So I think it eventually actually was a corporate location, but I don't know. I think it could have been a hostile takeover. I don't know exactly how they were able to obtain it. It is the oldest store in the franchise, and it's it makes money. Big in store, big boss store. The guarantors unconditionally, individually, jointly and severally agree to pay all attorney's fees and all costs and other expenses incurred in any collection or attempted collection of this guarantee or in any negotiations relative to the obligation guaranteed or in enforcing the guarantee against franchisee. Each guarantor waives notice of any demand by franchisor. Like this part's very important to highlight because I'm going to talk about how they became my personal guarantors. Any notice of default, Ammon and Matt McNeff became my personal guarantors. So I will be highlighting that right after we read the guarantor part. In the payment of any amounts contained or reserved in the franchise agreement, and any modifications or amendment to the franchise agreement or any other notice of default or non-performance of any obligations under the franchise agreement. Each guarantor waives protest and notice of default to any party with respect or indebtedness, default or non-performance of any obligations under the franchise agreement and any modification or amendment to the franchise agreement. Each guarantor expressly agrees that the validity of this guarantee and its obligations shall in no way be terminated, affected, or impaired by reason of any waiver by franchisor or its successor, or assigns the failure of franchisor to enforce any of the terms, covenants, or conditions of the franchise agreement or this guarantee, or the granting of any indulgence or extension of time to franchisee, all of which may be given or done without notice of guarantors. This guarantee shall extend in full force and effect to any assignee or successor of franchisor, and shall be binding upon the guarantors and each of their respective successor and assigns, until all obligations of franchisee to franchisor have been paid or satisfied in full. The guarantors have no remedy or right of subrogation, and each guarantor waives any right to enforce any remedy which franchisor has or may in the future have against franchisee, and any benefit of and any right to participate in any security now and in all the future held by franchisor. All existing and future indebtedness to franchisee to each guarantor is hereby subordinated to all indebtedness and other monetary obligations guaranteed in this guarantee and without the prior written consent of franchisor, shall not be paid in whole or in part to any guarantor, nor will any guarantor accept any payment of or on account of any indebtedness while this guarantee is in effect, unless all the time of this payment, all indebtedness and other monetary obligations to franchisor are current under the terms of this franchise agreement. Each guarantor consents and agrees that the undersigned shall render any payment or performance required under this guarantee, and that the liability of each guarantor shall be joint and several. This liability shall not be diminished, relieved, or otherwise affected by any extension of time, credit, or other indulgence which the franchisor may periodically grant to franchisee or to any other person, including the acceptance of any partial payment or performance, or the compromise or release of any claims, none of which shall in any way modify or amend this guarantee, which shall be continuing and irrevocable until satisfied in full. Each guarantor waives acceptance and notice of acceptance by franchisor for the foregoing undertakings, which guarantor waives notice of any amendment to the agreement. You and your owners irrevocably submit to the jurisdiction of the courts of the state of Utah in any suit, action, or proceeding arising out of relating to this guarantee or any other dispute between you and us, and you irrevocably agree that all claims in respect of any suit, action, proceeding must be brought and or defended except with respect to matters that are under the exclusive jurisdiction of the federal courts of the United States, which shall be brought and or defended in the federal district court sitting in Salt Lake City, Utah. you irrevocably waive to the fullest extent you may lawfully do so the defense of any inconvenient form to the maintenance of the suit, action, or proceeding, and agree that service of process for purposes of any suit, action, or proceeding need to not be personally served or served within the state of Utah by certified mail or any other means permitted by law addressed to you at the address set forth herein. Nothing contained herein shall affect our rights to bring a suit, action, proceeding in any appropriate jurisdiction, including any suit, action, or proceeding brought by us to enforce any judgment against you entered by the state or federal court. Signatures on the following page. Yeah. So back to the chat. So you're confused. Okay. What's up? Ben Schneider is my hero. He is awesome. And yeah, like I said before, like every conversation I've had with him, he's just a genuine guy. He genuinely wants to help. Genuinely wants to help. Yeah, he's making content and it's his living, and there's always gonna be like, you want profitability, you want money, but overall he didn't have to go through all this, so he definitely wants to help. And just by talking to him, a solid guy. I don't know him super well. We've had conversations, we've had FaceTime calls, but yeah, super solid guy so far. Joshua and Brandon, Baker Bricks LC, have many stores. They do. Okay, I'm confused. Who then is Spineless Ben? Spineless Ben was this bastard. Guy named Ben that just told the cops everything, lied to the police. He was somewhat helping Ben when Ben went to Utah to confront Josh. And there's a bunch of police footage of him just like lying and then caving, and he was and he just gave information that didn't need to be given, and gave like a ton of ammunition to the American Fork Police Department to go after Ben. Like, he practically gave them the address so that they could SWAT him and stuff like that. Practically. Yeah. Spine Ben is Ben Adams, not Ben Schneider. Yeah. Look, UberTex Utah. Sorry, UberTex. Okay, Ben Adams was the guy in the car. Yeah, here you go. Across from Josh's on day one that spilled his guts to cops with basically no prompting and let them look at his text to Reckless Ben and his pictures, by the way. How does BAM seize bank accounts? They shouldn't be able to seize any bank accounts. In Crystal's situation, they never gave the bank account to Crystal. Okay, so whatever money you got in your account is yours to keep. What they do is they take over any form of communication, so that your email, your phone number, your POS system, all of it, all of it's theirs now. But in Crystal Gorman's case, it's one of the reasons that she brings up in her suit, from what I could tell. And access to the store's bank accounts as part of the franchise agreement. No, not my franchise agreement. They require access to the POS system, but yeah, no. My whole Bible journey is there. Sick. Is that on Instagram or YouTube? Rick didn't have his bank account linked with BAM. He told me yesterday. Oh, actually, funny enough, I did in the beginning. I did, because I took over their bank account. So it was a corporate location, and then when I bought the location, I just took their bank account, and we had the same accountants, and that's where there was issues. But yeah, Spam Best was on police spilling all the details. Police down road filming. Yes. Definitely Spam Best. Little. Yeah, Rick B. Yeah. Been through that. One trick to violate part of the agreement and having an account with only enough money to cover royalties. Did you have a Bricks Minifigs, or was it another franchise? One trick is to violate that part of the agreement by having an account with only enough money to cover royalties. Yeah, that's one way to do it. You guys pull the cash out. Hadn't heard that name myself until just yesterday. I was just as confused as you. Got rid of the law. Rick P coming in hard with a 20, my man. How would it be possible to link up with you? Would love to buy you lunch or coffee one day soon. Just hit me up on Instagram, dude. Are you here in Florida? You let me know. If you're in Florida, we'll chill, dude. We'll chill. I don't have money to like go a whole lot of places, but you let me know. You let me know, brother. We'll all hang out. I'll just get a group of people if anybody wants to meet up. Toy bounty hunters and all of them. Like, were you able to find homes for the kittens? Another trick to have credit card and debit card money only deposited in a separate account. Yeah, that is another trick. But again, just don't share your account to people. It's crazy. 500 or 6% gross profit from Gorman's franchise agreement. Yeah, I think it was 5% and then the 1% advertising fees on top of that, so then it equals 6%. To err or play devil's advocate, I would say many of those were so open to American Fork Police Department is because they are young, naive, and not attentive to the A1 community to understand their rights properly. Are you talking about properly conduct a product, our current education system to make us all bootlickers? Okay, so you're talking about Spineless Ben. Yeah, also coddling. The parents have an obligation to teach their kids to be able to to be able to confront an individual and stand your ground. That's the other part. And also, it's good to teach your kids like trust in the police, but then when they're teenagers, be like, oh, by the way, as soon as the cops are talking to you, don't say nothing until daddy's lawyers get there. Just don't say nothing. And don't talk about the house. Whatever goes on, don't talk about it. Yeah. Other franchisees, F1 in the house. Who? I don't see that. Did I skip that? The house panhandle. All franchises would. Okay, I read Bam's suit versus Mad Adventures. In Cali, one of Bam's complaints was that they'd removed Bam's access to their bank account. Yeah, it was more. Yeah, they removed access and ACH payments. Again, if you didn't look at my termination letter, which we will go over, the people that from Mad Ventures, which are the masters, they never got their termination letter, and they copy and pasted their termination letter to me and just changed up to my name because it's entitled Dear Mr. and Mrs. Messer. And I point that out a lot because it's hilarious. Because they're tards. Right in witness. Just signatures. Lease addendum. More stuff. The lease is hereby modified to include the following provisions. In the event provision below contradict the provisions of the lease, the provisions contained herein shall supersede any terms to the contrary set forth in the lease. We'll read it. We'll go through it. Whereas franchisee has signed. By the way, don't forget to like people. We got 50 people watching right now. And welcome Danny in the chat again. Love seeing that crazy looking tarantula, man. That's just insane. Has signed or intends to sign a franchise agreement, the franchisee agreement, with BAM Franchising Inc., the franchisor for the operation of a Bricks Minifigs. Oh, that's what I forgot to talk about. The guarantor thing. One of the reasons I had so much faith in Ammon and Matt was because they signed on as franchise guarantors. The whole guarantee thing. Guarantors is so rare in business for somebody to sign, especially when their business is big. Like you won't get that. Just like co-signing for a car. That's like the best way to connect the dots of like understanding what a personal guarantor is. And that's how they screwed me, but it's also how that's one of the ways they gain my trust, like who's gonna, like, you believe in this one franchisee so much that you're gonna sign as personal guarantor? That's nuts. And then they F me up. Yeah. include the provisions contained in this addendum. Now, therefore, in consideration of mutual covenants set forth herein, the signing and delivery of the lease and other good and valuable consideration, the receipt and sufficiency of which is hereby acknowledged, landlord and franchisee hereby agree as follows. Landlord shall deliver to franchisor a copy of any notice of default or termination of the lease at the same time this notice is delivered to franchisee. In the event of default by franchisee, landlord must provide notice to franchisor of franchisee's default under the lease, and landlord must provide franchisor with the right, but not the obligation, to cure franchisee's default. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in the lease, franchisee shall have the absolute right to sublet, assign, or otherwise transfer its interest in the lease to franchisor or any of its affiliates, or to a corporation with which the franchisee or franchisor may merge or consolidate without landlord's approval, written or otherwise. If the franchisor requests, the franchisees shall sign to franchisor, and landlord hereby irrevocably and unconditionally consents to this agreement all of franchisee's rights, title, and interest to and under the lease, but no such assignments shall be effective unless the franchise agreement is terminated or expires without signing of a successor franchise agreement, and franchisor notifies the franchisee and landlord in writing that the franchisor assumes franchisee's obligations under the lease. Franchisor shall have the right, but not the obligation, upon giving written notice of its election to franchise and landlord, to cure any breach of the lease, and, if so stated in the notice, it also succeed to franchisee's right, title, and interest thereunder. The lease may not be amended, modified, extended, supplemented, assigned, or renewed in any manner of assigned by franchisee without franchisor's prior written consent. Oh my gosh, so much stuff to read. What an achievement. Thank you. Okay. You have personal guarantee in writing. Yes, that's the only way to get personal guarantors is in writing. It's on my lease agreement. Possible. Always try to purchase your building from the real landlord rather than required remodels of legal fees. Yeah. Again, all of it's money, baby. Las Vegas from Sin City Bell. Thank you. Thanks for the support. Thanks for being here. To the jury, both in criminal and civil. Right, reckless ban. I mean, it's 8:30 a.m. here. Woke up early. Hey, Trig, happy. In the UK or something? Asia? Where you at? Or Brazil? Info has entered in the public records. To win the franchisee world, you cannot be a perfect franchisee. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know that. Too little too late though, I guess. Franchisee and landlord acknowledge and agree that franchisor shall have no liability or obligation whatsoever under lease unless and until franchisor assumes the lease in writing pursuant to Section 3, 5, or above. Franchisor will assume all the franchisee's obligations under the lease or sublease from and after the date of assignment, but shall have no obligation to pay any delinquent rent or to cure any other default under the lease and occurred or existed before the date of assignment. This is also part of the guarantor stuff. If franchisor assumes the lease as above provided, franchisor may further assign the lease to another person or entity to operate the Bricks and Minifigs stores at the accepted location, subject to landlord's consent, which consent will not be unreasonably withheld or delayed. Landlord agrees to sign such further documentation to confirm its consent to the assignments permitted under this addendum as franchisor may request. Landlord and franchisee hereby acknowledge that franchisee has agreed under the franchise agreement that franchisor and its employees or agents shall have the right to enter the accepted location for certain purposes. Landlord hereby agrees that not to interfere with or prevent this entry by franchisor, its employees, or its agents onto the accepted location. Landlord and franchisee hereby further acknowledge that in the event the franchise agreement expires without renewal or is terminated, franchisee is obligated to take certain steps under the franchise agreement to de-identify the location as a Bricks and Minifigs store. Landlord agrees to permit franchisor, its employees, or its agents to enter the accepted location and remove signs, both interior and exterior decor and materials displaying any marks, designs, or logos owned by franchisor. Provided franchisor shall bear the expense of repairing any damage to the accepted location as a result thereof. Under the franchise agreement, any lease for the location of a Bricks and Minifigs stores is subject to franchisor's approval. The lease is contingent upon this approval. Upon franchisor's request, franchisee hereby authorizes and requires the landlord to disclose to franchisor upon franchisor's request sales and other information that franchisee furnishes to the landlord. Landlord agrees that franchisor or franchisor's assignant or designee has the right but not the obligation to assume the lease or sublease. 1. Upon expiration or termination of the franchise agreement without renewal between franchisee and franchisor. 2. If franchisee fails to exercise any portion to renew or extend the lease during the term of the franchise agreement between franchisee and franchisor. 3. If franchisee commits a default that gives the landlord the right to terminate or the lease or sublease. 4. If franchisor purchases franchisee's store as permitted by the franchise agreement between franchisor and franchisee. Obviously, Powell, that your mortgage or your payment's going to be less than the rent. Rent is for you to make a profit. Why would you pay more? Obviously, it's going to be cheaper than rent. Landlord and franchisee agrees that if a landlord is an owner or an affiliate of the franchisee, as defined in the franchise agreement, and landlord proposes to sell the accepted location, before the sale of the accepted location, the lease upon the request of the franchisor shall be amended to reflect a rental rate and other terms that are the reasonable and customary rental rates and terms prevailing in the community where the Bricks and Minifigs store is located. Pal, sorry if that sounded harsh. My bad. People tell me sometimes the way I speak is a little too cutthroat at times. So, my bad. Landlord agrees that during and after the term of the lease, it will not disclose or use confidential information as defined below for any purpose other than the purpose of fulfilling landlord's obligations under the lease. Confidential information as used herein shall mean all non-public information and tangible things, whether written, oral, electronic, or in other form, provided or disclosed by or on behalf of franchisee to landlord, or otherwise obtained by landlord regarding the design and operation of the business located at the accepted location, including all information identifying or describing the floor plan, equipment, furniture, fixtures, wall coverings, floor materials, shelving. Decorations, trade secrets, trade dress, look and feel, layout, design, formulas, manner of operation, suppliers, vendor, and all other product, goods, and services used, useful or provided by or for franchise on the accepted location. Landlord acknowledges that all confidential information belongs exclusively to franchisor. Landlord agrees that should it breach or threaten to breach this provision of the addendum, franchisor will suffer irreparable damages and its remedy at law will be inadequate. Therefore, if landlord threatens or actually breaches this provision, franchisor, which along the successors and assigns is an intended third-party beneficiary of the provisions of this paragraph, shall be entitled to all remedies available franchisor law or equity, including injunctive relief. Landlord agrees to provide that a memorandum of the lease be recorded in an appropriate recorder's office in the county in which the store is located, and the copy of the recording certificate by sent to franchisor. Landlord acknowledges that it has reviewed the approved Bricks and Minifigs design and the signage package. Landlord agrees the consent to franchisee's use of one or more of the design described in the approved Bricks and Minifigs design and signage package, and all trade dress elements found in the same approved Bricks and Minifigs design and signage package as required by franchisor. Copies of any and all notices or permitted hereby or by the lease shall also be sent to franchisor at that address. With a copy to General Counsel at the same address or such other address, franchisor shall specify by written notice to landlord. Witness the signing hereof under seal, landlord and franchisee. Investor personal covenants regarding confidentiality and non-competition. All right, and this. Thanks for the stream, Relic. I'm going tonight, everybody. Happy 4th, brother. Good night. Good night. All the parts were muted. Okay. Yeah, but the muting only made it. Okay, that's not for me. Take care. Good luck with your future. Just watch out for aggressive AI text bots. Not seen them here yet, but know they exist to destroy conversations. Really? I did not know that. You have to be sneaky enough to purchase the building without giving enough time for the franchisor to exercise the right of first refusal. I did twice with 2 locations. With what? What business? Powell. Still can't get over the unintentional release of all the unredacted footage that was so perfect. The only problem is it like gave away people's address. Doxed people like crazy. That was insane. Okay. Owns and operates developing Bricks and Minifigs stores located at blah, 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 blah. With franchise or with franchisee agreement requires persons with legal or beneficial ownership interest in franchisee under certain circumstances to be personally bound by the confidentiality and non-competition covenants contained in the franchise agreement. All capitalized terms contained herein shall have the same meaning set forth in the franchise agreement. You own or intend to own the percentage legal or beneficial ownership interest in franchisee set forth beneath your signature below, and acknowledge set forth below your signature below, and agree that your signing of this agreement is a condition to this ownership interest, and that you have received good and valuable consideration for signing this agreement. Franchisor may enforce this agreement directly against you and your owners as defined below. If you are a corporation, partnership, limited liability, company, or other entity, all persons have a legal or beneficial interest in you. Owners must also sign this agreement. You and your owners, if any, may gain access to parts of our confidential information as a result investing in franchisee. The confidential information is proprietary and includes Bricks and Minifigs trade secrets. You and your owners hereby agree that while you and they have a legal or beneficial ownership interest in franchisee, and thereafter you and they will not use the confidential information in any other business or capacity, such use being an unfair method of competition, will maintain the confidentiality of the confidential information, and will not make unauthorized copies of any portion of the confidential information disclosed in written, electronic, or other form. If you or your owners cease to have an interest in franchisee, you and your owners, if any, must deliver to us any confidential information in your or their possession or control during the term of the franchise agreement, and during the time as you and your owners, if any, have legal or beneficial ownership interest in franchisee. You and your owners, if any, agree that you and they will not, without franchisor's written consent, which consent may be withheld at franchisor's discretion, directly or indirectly, such as through an affiliate or through your heir immediate families, own any legal or beneficial interest or render services or give advice in connection with any competitive business located anywhere, or be any entity located anywhere which grants franchises or licenses to others to operate any competitive business. For a period of 2 years, starting on the earlier to occur of the dates you or your own or owners cease to have any legal or beneficial ownership interest in franchisee, and the effective date of termination or expiration without renewal of the franchise agreement, neither you nor any of your owners directly or indirectly, such as through an affiliate or through you or their immediate family, shall own a legal or beneficial interest in or render services or give advice to any competitive business operating within a radius of 5 miles of any Bricks and Minifigs store then in operation or under construction, any entity which grants franchises or licenses other interests to others to operate any competitive businesses or recruit or hire any person who is an employee of yours or yours of any Bricks and Minifigs store operated by us, affiliates, or any franchisee of ours without obtaining the employer's consent, which consent may be withheld for any reason if you or any of your owners fail to refuse to abide by any of the foregoing covenants, and franchisor obtains enforcement in a judicial proceeding, the obligation under breached covenant will continue in effect for a period of time ending 2 years after the date the order enforcing the covenant. And holy freaking A, yo! They won't let me gift you 150 memberships. Keep up the amazing work and congrats on your channel. Tap the shell. What's tap the shell? What does that mean? Savvy, thank you so much, my man. Thank you. That's where I don't know if there's like some sort of cap on memberships, but thank you so much, dude. That is awesome. You look familiar. You look very familiar. And I like the shirt. Happy 4th, brother. Happy 4th. Sorry, this is such a boring stream because of all this hoggabaloo that I have to keep reading. Proprietary weekly design inventory sales software that a second grader could build better. It's laughable. Yeah. By the way, anybody feel free to ask any questions. I will answer, especially towards the end of the stream. Do brand franchisees have a separate franchisee organization to address concern in their behalf? I'm guessing you meant behalf. That would be up to the franchisee. They don't have a separate franchisee organization that Bricks and Minifigs provides them. Wish I had money to donate. Hey, dude, you're good just to be here, Trip. Stay here, Trip. You're good. Ben's Part 3 has more police, and has fake threats possibly caused by BAM and associates, not by BAM. I could tell you this. Part 3 will have more things on Ammon and the American Fork Police Department. It's as much as you're going to know. And it might be out in less than 2 weeks. That's a high possibility. It's a 50-50 shot at this point. Stay tuned. All love, Savvy. It's new and hot. RC, what's up? What's up? $1 a month for a new channel might be a bit steep. Is it just like a 15... What? I opened it, but... yeah, I don't know. I have to go through the details. Because I heard, like, there was multiple tiers, and I'm just going to do one tier, one membership. That's it. But, man. Heard Part 3 had a good mix of BAM and the police stuff. It does. It does. Hey, broski. Happy 4th of July, everyone, by Vape Nerding. Happy 4th. Happy birthday to America. America. But yeah, let's get through this. Let's get through this because I'm pretty sure we're at the end. We're at the home stretch of this bastardization, this bull crap we have to read. Ugh. Do you guys have a turtle stream BGC? Yeah. So $250,000, that would have been epic. Now that's way too much money, but I think savvy. It might have been like it. Yeah. Good thing he didn't do that. I just $50 is enough. Thank you. Would have been crazy. You and each of your owners expressly acknowledge the possession of skills and abilities of a general nature and the opportunity to exploit these skills in other ways so that enforcement of the covenants contained in section 5 and 6 will not deprive any of you of your personal goodwill or ability to earn a living. If any covenant here, this is precious. Any covenant herein with which restricts competitive activity is deemed unenforceable by virtue of its scope or in terms of geographic area, type of business activity prohibited and/or length of time, but could be rendered enforceable by reducing any part or all of it. You and we agree that it will be enforceable to the fullest extent permissible under applicable law and public policy. In addition to relief as may be available at equity or law, franchisor may obtain in any court of competent jurisdiction any injunctive relief, including temporary restraining orders and preliminary injunctions against conduct or threatened conduct for which no adequate remedy at law may be available or which may cause it irreparable harm. You and each of your owners acknowledge that any violation of Section 4, 5, or 6 hereof would result in irreparable injury for which no adequate remedy at law may be available. If franchisor files a claim to enforce this agreement and prevails in the proceeding, you must reimburse franchisor for all its costs and expenses, including reasonable attorney's fees. This confidentiality and non-competition agreement does not supersede nor cancel any prior understandings and agreements you and your owners had with respect to these matters, including any provision of the franchise agreement and the prospective candidate confidentiality agreement previously entered into pertaining to confidentiality. You and your owners have read the confidentiality and non-competition agreement thoroughly, understand and sign it freely and voluntarily. Of prearranged payments, direct debits. Yeah, so this right here, important instructions for completing this form. Before we can process your franchise agreement, you must sign and return authorization if at the time you sign your franchise agreement you do not have your account set up, or if you did not know. One of the reasons I don't have any of this stuff set up is because I purchased a corporate location. Information. Please show that you agree to the terms of this authorization by signing this form, leaving the account information blank, and returning the signed form from your franchise agreement. You can give us your account information when you receive it, but we must have the information before you open your store. If you have any question about this form, it means you should get advice from your lawyer, your accountant, or your bank. The undersigned account holder. This authority is to remain in effect until bank has received joint written notice of the company from the company account holder and account holder's termination. Any termination notice must be given in way as to give bank a reasonable opportunity to act on it. If a debit entry is initiated to account holders by bank, if within 15 calendar days following the date on the bank and sent to account holder a statement of account of a written notice regarding this entry 45 days after posting. Whichever occurs first, account holder shall have sent to bank a written notice, identify this entry, stating this entry was an error, and requesting bank to credit and amounts thereof to this amount. These rights, in addition to any rights account holder may have under federal and state banking laws. Oh, man. So, I think... Okay, you agree that within 60 days after signing the franchise agreement, you will locate and obtain approval of a site in the territory of the establishment for purposes... Like, this is just stating the different ways they approve it. So... Yeah, download all of it myself, both redacted and unredacted. Nice. Never donated on a YouTube and never buy memberships. This guy's my first time doing it. Relic is a man of good character, and I want to see him succeed. That's why I give. I expect nothing. Hey, man, thank you. I appreciate that, brother. I truly do. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very honored for you guys to think that my content is good enough to donate to, or you guys would like to help me out. I really appreciate it. I am honored because that, to me, $10, $5, $20, $50, all of it, like, I cherish it. You agree within 60 days go locate, obtain approval for a site within the territory established of your store. For purposes of this agreement, territory is defined as set forth to the attached map. You must submit to us the following: a complete site proposal form obtaining or containing population growth, income, and other potential customer demographics, information, traffic patterns, access, visibility, location of other retail store, and relative sales performance, including other Bricks and Minifig stores, and size, condition, configuration, appearance, and other physical characteristics of the site, and all other information that we reasonably require for the site. If the accepted location for the proposed site are to be least satisfactory evidence that the lessor will or leaseor will agree to the minimum requirements containing the lease addendum to be signed between us, you and the lessor attached to the franchise agreement as Schedule 4, and any other information or materials as we may require, such as a letter of intent or other document which confirm your favorable prospects for obtaining the proposed site approval. We will approve or reject each site for which you submit to us in complete site proposal package in accordance with section 4A. This is really important because there was times I had a phone call. Actually, it was a phone call I had a month ago from the McNeffs when they are warning me to not get myself involved or tell my story. Right? If you guys don't know, they practically called and threatened to sue without using the words "we're gonna sue." Okay? One of the reasonings for I got a lot off my chest. We had an hour-long conversation, and he said that we advised against that location. I'm like, your own realtors approved and sent me that location, and my father, who's a commercial realtor, also approved that location, and I trust way more than you guys, and it was solid. All I needed was marketing money. That's it. And even without any marketing, we still made more sales in that store than Bricks and Minifigs had previous from the Wesley Chapel location. All 7 years previous, before I came in, we still made more money than they ever did. So if a location sucks or whatever, they cannot use the excuse that it sucks your store wasn't successful because you picked a bad spot. It's like, no, you approved that bad spot. You screwed us over because you approved this crap. Section 4A of the franchise agreement. And if we approve the site, we will do so by delivering our standard site approval letter. Our site approval letter, duly signed by us, is the exclusive means by which we approved a proposed site, and no other direct or indirect representation, approval, or acceptance, whether in writing or verbally by any of our officers, employees, or agents, shall be effective or bind us. We will use all reasonable efforts to make the site approval decision, and if the site is approved, deliver a site approval letter to you within 30 days after we receive the complete site proposal package and any other material we have requested. In deciding whether to approve or reject a site you propose, we may consider such factors as we, in our sole discretion, deem appropriate, including general location and neighborhood, population growth, income, and other potential customer demographics, information, traffic patterns, access, visibility, location of other store, including other Bricks and Minifig stores, and size, condition, configuration, appearance, and other physical characteristics of the site. Neither our approval or proposed site, nor any information communicated to you regarding our standard site selection criteria of the proposal site constitutes a warranty or representation of any kind, expressed or implied, as to the suitability of the proposed site, but merely signifies that we are willing to grant a franchise for a Bricks and Minifig store that location in accordance with the term of the franchise agreement. Your decision to develop and operate a Bricks and Minifig store at any site is based solely on your own independent investigation of the suitability of the site for a Bricks and Minifig store. In consideration of your approved or proposed site, you and your owners agree to release us and our affiliates, shareholders, members, officers, directors, employees, agents, successors, and assigns from any and all loss, damages, and liability arising from in connection with the selection and or approval of the site for the development of a Bricks Minifigs store. Cost on site evaluation. Oh, we may also provide on-site evaluation of sites proposed pursuant hereto as we deem necessary or appropriate. If we deem it necessary to provide an on-site evaluation of the proposed site, you must coordinate and arrange for the visit by your representative or agent and may be required to pay our related travel expenses. Extensions. Upon your written request, we, at our sole discretion and without obligation, may grant a written extension or extension period of approval of a proposed site. Purchase agreement or lease. You must lease, sublease, or purchase of the accepted location within 180 days after signing the franchise agreement. We have the right to approve the terms of any lease, sublease, or purchase contract of the accepted location, and you must deliver a copy to us for approval before you sign it. You agree that any lease or sublease for the accepted location must inform and substance by satisfactory to us include all of the provisions set forth on Schedule 4. You may not sign a lease, sublease, or purchase contract or any modifications thereof without approval. Our approval on the lease, sublease, or purchase contract does not constitute a warranty or representation of any kind, express or implied, as to its fairness or suitability, or as to your ability to comply with its terms. We do not, by virtue of approving the lease, sublease, or purchase contract, assume any liability or responsibility to you or to any third parties. You must deliver a copy of the fully signed lease, sublease, or purchase contract to us within 5 days after its signing. If you or one of your owners or one of your affiliates at any time owns the accepted location, you must immediately notify us, and we may require that you or such owner or affiliate enter into an agreement with us in a recordable form granting us the right and option in the event of a termination of whatsoever reason of the franchise agreement to lease the accepted location at fair market rental rates for a term coterminous with the term of the franchise agreement of these accepted locations, or enter into a prime lease with us at fair market rental rates for a term coterminous with the term of the franchise agreement of these accepted locations, and a sublease with us at the same term as the prime lease. The prime lease and sublease referenced in the preceding sentence shall be on the then current lease and sublease forms used by us. If the lease for your store expires or is terminated there before the end of the term, you may move your store to another location chosen in accordance with our site evaluation and approval process found Section 4A of the franchise agreement. The new location must be the original store's territory as determined by us and may in no case infringe upon franchise agreement or other agreement applicable to another store. If you lose possession of your store's accepted location because the lease expired by its terms or on account of condemnation or eminent domain proceedings or as the result of early termination pursuant Section 14 of the franchise agreement, you must initiate the relocation procedure in time to lease, build out, and open your store for business within 60 days after the original store closes. If you lease it's terminated on account of a fire or other casualty, you must initiate the relocation proceeding in time to lease, build out, open your store for business within 120 days after the lease for the original store terminates. Effect and interpretation. This addendum will be considered an integral part of the franchise agreement between the parties, and the term of this addendum will be controlling with respect to the subject matter hereof. Except as modified by supplement by this addendum, the terms of the franchise agreement are hereby ratified and confirmed. And then there are signatures. Ammon McNabb. So that was my territory right there. Tampa Wesley Chapel. Okay. Let me read some of the chat up in here. Okay. I've only donated to BJC Live. I've only donated to BJC Live because she's freaking crazy entertaining. Oh, my bad, dude. I guess I'm freaking chopped liver. My bad. But she is entertaining. I agree. Even Dutch Bros have site traffic requirements and franchisor locations. I know how evil all franchisors are. Some franchisees are denial and actually believe that they did something wrong. I know at least two good really franchisors. Fortunately, I'm not in a position to donate. No, don't worry. I broke as F. It's why I won't turn on accept gift memberships. I'd rather it go someone that might be able to renew it. Hey, dude, turn it on. Just glad you're here. I'd rather give by other means than YouTube. They are greedy and do nefarious behavior to good people, but I'm not on social media at all. No Instagram, no X, no Discord, or Kick. You good, man. 1 hour combo fell on deaf ears. Me? My bad. Oh, okay. I know what you meant. Are my A1 friends in other ways, like editing them for free. Cool. I got more than a handful of projects completed. I'm no wise wealthy. I work paycheck to paycheck, but I trust God as my provider, so I am willing to step out for people of good character. Hey, I thank you, man. But you gotta take care of yourself and your own, all right? I really thank you. I think most people here are no longer listening to Relic, but focused on the chat. That's cool. F me. I badly injured my back at work, only to find out my boss was a closet gambling addict, and instead of paying bills, he gambled the money away, so no workers' compensation insurance. That's crazy. Us Live is about franchise churning coming up today at 1 p.m. The like button. Hit the like button, everybody. Yeah, the only Florida I really know is around Jack's. Blanding Road. Are you talking about Bricks and Minifigs? I was accused of breaking a franchise agreement by purchasing my building because it's created an unauthorized lease agreement. F those guys. So I've written that franchise agreement that would give them the most protection to set you up to fail and take all your stuff. They did. You're still on, bro, Matilo? Am I missing something? Okay, when you spoke to Ammon for 1 hour, did it fall on deaf ears or did something come out of it? So I spoke to Matt McNeff a month ago. Look, ask me again. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I finished up the franchise agreement. Assignment, telephone numbers. This is really nothing. I'll leave it here for if anybody wants to read it. Pause it and on another time. This is not really anything crazy. SBA addendum. This didn't pertain to me because I didn't sign it. Or did it? And then right here is all state specific: California, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, all this stuff. So I believe Minnesota, New York. And New York has a ton of crap. North Dakota, Rhode Island, Virginia, Washington, Wisconsin. Boom, that is it. That's it. Yeah. It's territory. Boom. Finally, we finished up the franchise agreement. That sucked, but it was for you guys. It was for you and anybody who wants to review it and tear it apart. When you spoke, so okay, Trip. When I spoke to Matt, I told him he tried apologizing. He claimed that he didn't know that they left me $500,000 in debt, that my life was ruined, and he called saying that he considered me a friend. And at one point I did consider him a friend, but I don't know if everything I told him got through to him. I did tell him that he should this was June 1st. I did tell him that he should get rid of Josh and Brandon because they are garbage. They are terrible people. I don't think it was because of me. June 2nd, he called me again, letting me know that they parted ways. And then June 4th was the official document that they said they parted ways with Josh and Brandon. Now back to June 1st, we like half of the phone call was recorded, half of it wasn't, because we got off the call, and from what it sounded like he was being genuine. He apologized. But again, he believes that they are in the right. And I told him, I can't accept your apology because of everything you guys done to me. I want to believe you, but I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I don't believe you are. And I told him, like, you guys have the ability to end all of this today. I told him that on June 1st. I told him to have his brother Ammon stop doing interviews because it comes off like a dick. Told him to do that. That definitely fell on deaf ears. But also, he said that he wants for me to come up with a way where he can make me whole or rectify what happened. And I told him I don't accept handouts. I told him that I won't be silenced. I will tell my story to anybody who wants to listen to it. And that at that time, I already talked to Reckless Ben, and I was already in one of his videos. So there was nothing after that. But they could sue me at any time since they've already had that phone call. From what I can understand, and this is from talking to many other people who have been trying to figure out some stuff, is that Matt McNeff is the one that's out of the loop. And that's from what I hear. That Josh is the worst one. He's lying, and Ammon backed Josh, and Ammon didn't tell everything to his brother Matt McNeff, and Ammon is a total douchebag, and then Brandon is the quiet one that's moving all the chess pieces. All right, so that's like the consensus right now, that he sounds like an idiot because he's out of the loop, and yeah. So who knows what the settlement will be like, because I hope there's a settlement. But yeah, okay. Don't worry, Relic, I'm going to hype you up. Oh, thank you. No former asked Cecile Field was stationed. No, Bramado, you're not missing anything. I was just surprised you're still on. Oh, my bad. Yeah, you're not missing anything because apparently I suck. Let me get some water. Everybody that served in the chat, thank you for your service. Thank you. That was a franchise for a small privately owned franchise chain here that I work for. After he got evicted by the landlord for not having paid rent in 18 months, I then managed the franchise. That's insane. 18 months, no paying rent. You and Brand grow your villain mustache. Ooh, mustaches, yeah. For your hard work. Okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the hard work. Hopefully the internet comes together to help you because of all this. Thank you. Appreciate it. Baseball Whitecap out. Clark Kent doesn't do mustaches. Exactly. RC, what's up? Happy B-Day to America. Let's get these corrupt POSs. Heck yeah. Mac McNeff is weak and has no spine. If he was truly a good person, he would speak to power and take on Ammon. He lets Ammon do these evil things by not stopping him, so he's complicit. Agreed. Damn straight. But if Ben went to court or in-person mediation, he should have his own stash. That's true. Remember, he did wear a beard in front of the American Folk Police Department. So he's halfway there. I feel that you took reasonable position. Yeah, I think so. We'll probably wear the glasses, mustache, get peach. They won't sue you because they left you with nothing, and they can't sue. They can sue you to get. You're right. You having a stroke, bro? Okay. The last one. The COO should never be out of the loop. Agreed. Because here's the thing. He claimed that he didn't know that they closed the store the day after their personal guarantors were off the lease, and they left me with the lease to um, to take on the $500,000 debt that they should have owed the landlord. And he claims that he didn't know that, and he didn't know all the things that Josh and Brandon did. And I did say to him, that's even worse because Matt, that makes you incompetent. You're an owner. You're not just the CEO. You're part owner with your brother. That's worse. Is there any way Bricks and Minifigs could get rid of Ammon and Matt? Maybe the owners could come together. The only owners are Matt and Ammon. So unless they sell it to somebody else, they like the owners of the franchises can't do anything. The individual owners, they could just leave. It said police cam that his son is an idiot. Yeah. Remember, Dan is a worse person than all these guys. He has done some crazy stuff in his life. He knows his vid, see through the lies. Or he's trying to disassociate. Yeah, it's possible. Yes, please give my love and respect to all the vets. Happy 250th to America. We appreciate your sacrifices. Heck yeah. Bam is in complete damage control mode, but it's too out of control for idiots like Ammon. Here's the thing. If you guys go back to the franchise agreement that I just read, not in this stream, I think 2 streams ago, many franchises do this. They have other businesses they own that act or has the same business model that they currently is their number one, right? And we got a $4 super sticker. Don't really know what that is. But sweet. Thank you. Thank you so much. And so what happens is sometimes if a company fails, they'll just remodel it. Right? So it won't be Bricks and Minifigs, but it'll be a Lego company, Lego reseller company that they possibly own today. Like if you look here in Florida, Bahama Breeze is shutting down. Right? They have like 30 locations. They're shutting down, but some holes are just going to be transformed into some location will be transformed into another restaurant because the company that owns Bahama Breeze is a $1 billion company. They own Longhorn Steakhouse, they own Olive Garden, they own Ruth's Chris. They own a lot of different restaurants, so they'll just repackage it. And they have one that's like a Mexican restaurant that looks like the same. So they could just put the different name brand on it and then change the prices and change the menu. So that does happen. Oh, I see the super sticker. Nice. Can I not see the super sticker on StreamYard? My bad. So it's possible that even though Bricks and Minifigs dies, they're still alive. They just have a different name and a different look and whatnot. That's one thing. I'm not saying that's what they'll do. I'm saying that's a possibility that they could take. Bruv, hole's the only hole they want to make of you or anyone. What? What? They want to fill the holes. By the way, ask away. We have 2 minutes before StreamYards kicks me out because I only have 2 hours. But in the future, when I could pay for this, we could go on for 10 hours. I go on for 10 hours sometimes, playing video games, talking about whatever. I think they will just file for bankruptcy and walk away. I think they just treat BAM as a salary bonus grab and as disposable to them. I'm not so sure, man. Dan still has shares in BAM? Whoa. Rick, my boss, took 2, and my father-in-law took 1. I don't know if that was to me or you were talking to somebody else. Question is, can one of the persons suing break through their corporate veil or sue them personally, like Josh using the police for personal justice? That you'd have to ask a lawyer because I wouldn't know. Did they fire themselves? Fire themselves owners? What? Dan has shares interest in BAM as seen as UCC one public record. Interesting. Yo, maybe this is better than the teal pair waking everyone up with coffee. $5. Thank you so much, man. Man or woman, I don't know what you are. Just Stub. I'm gonna call you Stub. But thank you. If the McNeffs want to make you whole after their bad business practice, it's not a handout. It would be righting it wrong. I did say in the second phone call when he asked again, he's like, I'm like, oh, you could write me a check for 500 grand, but I know he's not gonna pay. And this is what was said: it would be great if we had that kind of money and I could do that. Not word for word, but yeah, it's not exactly word for word, but yeah, that's what they said. And I'm like, oh yeah. In my head, I was like, oh, 300 stores and don't have 500,000. That's crazy. It's almost $1 a store. It's like $1.20. Can you imagine the lawsuit that are, or not that, my bad, my math, 1,000 something store. Yeah. Can you imagine the lawsuits that are coming in the McNeff family over Dan's estate after he passes? I doubt it. They're very much, I doubt there will be any. It's been 2 hours already. Yes. Yes, it has. So we're going to end the stream here. There was a law to Brevet today that said Josh and Ammon can be included in a civil suit against American Fork Police Department. Ooh. Law tubers are coming in hard. But franchise can prove the franchisor committed a crime. They can sue rather than arbitrate. Again, if they can prove. He'd have to close 6. Yeah. Yeah, they'd have to prove. That's also the other thing. Like, all my evidence, a lot of people are like, oh, you have, you should sue, you should get in a civil suit, all that stuff. That's great. I don't want to hinder anybody because all my evidence, Bricks Minifigs has most of it. They have most of it. So I'd have to somehow obtain that first and then help somebody out. And I just looked at the time. It is 4:20. Some of you, I know you're lighting up. But thanks for everybody for being in the chat. Thanks for being here. We will have a stream tomorrow, also at night. I'll be going to my original location, vlogging a bit just to show you guys. And yeah, that'll be it. But thanks, guys. Again, thanks for all the donations, all the super chats. It's been incredible. My wife's going to be happy. You guys all have a good night. Happy America. Happy birthday, America. Happy July 4th. Have a sweet, fantastic, celebrate, be patriotic, be with your families, be with your loved ones. Remember the sacrifices that were made to have this great country that I, being a foreigner who is now a citizen here, have appreciated the opportunities. Even if I've got screwed from time to time, still appreciate the opportunities that have allowed me to progress, have allowed me to have hope, and could someday become very financially successful and have a true American dream. So that is my statement for the July 4th. Happy America, everybody. Happy July 4th. Peace out, everybody. Good night. And I am out.